Hello, this is a short tutorial about how to make a greeting card display stand, which comes in very handy while you're trying to display your greeting cards in craft fairs or during exhibitions. It's just a stand that I made, and I felt I probably should share with you how I did it because it's quite inexpensive compared to the expensive stands that are out there. So this is just a sketch of what I had in mind. So it's going to be a small display stand with 3 rows and 4 sides. So the materials you'll need include tape, a ruler, a pair of scissors, a cutting knife, glue sticks, a self-healing cutting mat, a piece of hardboard, an old cereal box, an old cardboard box with its flaps still in place, and lots of patience. So to start off with, I cut up the old cereal box into pieces. You'll need about 20 pieces, but I found that it was best to cut as I went along because depending on which areas, I needed different sizes, some were bigger, some were smaller. So I felt it was best to just cut along as you go. So I then folded the pieces that I cut into two, because they're going to be the hinges. Think of them as the bolts and as the screws that will hold the structure in place. And without them, the whole structure will collapse once you've piled up lots of cards onto the stand. So I then folded the small flaps of the old cardboard box, folded it into two because they're going to be the rows for where the cards will be displayed. I've put in my daughter's old birthday card in the row just to see how it will look standing. I then applied glue to the clear sides, the unprinted sides of the cutout cereal boxes, and applied it onto the edges of the flaps that I've folded. So the reason why it's best to apply it to the unprinted side is because the printed side is quite slippery and the glue will definitely slip off. So I found it was better to put it onto the side that was not printed. And this is the way it looks from the front. So I then put all of them together, all the 3 rows, and that's the back. And in order to reinforce it, I went around it again with masking tape just to make sure it held together and just to make sure the glue stuck on. And that is the back you're looking at. And this is it standing. Basically I cut a piece of hardboard starting from the floor up to the top where I felt the card was gonna sit nicely. Because I'm not working with any measurements, I basically cut as I go along, and this is where the old greeting card comes into play because you use it to measure and see how it stands. And so for the base, I basically cut from the tip of the last row to the base of the other hardboard, and I held it in place with lots of tape just so it doesn't collapse, but it's all going to get better as we go along. So this is a piece of the hardboard. I basically put it on the floor and put the whole structure on its side and drew a perpendicular line from the tip of the last row to the top and just cut it into 2 because these will form the sides for our display stand. So I put the whole structure on its side again, and on one side of the flap that I've cut, I've applied some of the hinges that we cut up earlier. I've applied glue to the unprinted sides and applied it onto the side that we cut up, and onto the layers just to hold it in place. And this is how it looks close up. So you do that for both sides. And this is how it looks. I've put the old greeting card in there just to see how it would look standing. And so far, so good. If you find that it's still saggy and not firm, you can apply more hinges, mostly to the back, just to stabilize it. So for the front, I've put a piece of hardboard, and I've also used the same hinges to hold it in place. So you're just mainly reinforcing the places that you felt needed reinforcing and just making it much stronger and firmer. So we've got 4 sides in place, and it just left the back. So that is the back uncovered. You can see all the tape that we've used, and that is it. So at this point, you just continue to reinforce the structure as much as you can with as much tape and as much hinges as possible, because once it's covered, it's covered. So this is the time to do all the work. So here I've basically cut a piece of hardboard into size, and I've applied it there with some tape, and here you can see it's all covered. So there's not much work we can do here, but at this point my display stand was very firm and I was happy with the way it turned out. And this is how it looks from the front. So I then went on to paint it, just apply paint loosely to it and give it a very colorful effect, and it worked out very well for me during the 1 week exhibition I had at the Pine Walk, the Bournemouth Gardens, and it was very attractive, and many of the visitors were quite attracted to it. Well, this is how I made it, and I hope you will enjoy making it. You can visit my blog. The link is down below in the description box about in-depth information about how to make it. Thank you.